Hey guys, welcome back to RIPP Superchargers and thanks for stopping by. So if you are stopping by, you probably are looking for a little bit more horsepower out of your 4th gen V6 powered RAM, and that's what we're here to show you. So right next to me here, you see a dyno sheet with 437.6 horsepower on it, and that is the pass this vehicle just made a few minutes ago with me at the helm. That means we made some real horsepower. It's making 360 pounds of torque at the rear wheel as well, and that's on a 37-inch tire. Now this vehicle has been with the family, the RIPP family, for quite some time. I drove it daily for quite some time, and I've hauled with it and I towed with it. The last time you saw it, we have a beautiful little video driving with it, and at that time it was making 442, but then we lost a little bit with that tire, but it's trivial. So what are we going over with right now? A vehicle like this is special. And it shows in the questions that we're getting from you guys. So I would like to take a moment and change the format a bit and go over some of the questions you guys have been asking in our YouTube videos. So let's change it up, set up the studio, and get to it. All right, we're all set up. So after that beautiful 437 horsepower pass we made, I did promise you that we were going to go over some of the frequently asked questions because you guys have been watching the videos and you have been commenting, and we have a list. There's only 7 questions here. We're going to go over them. We'll try to be as brief and as thorough as possible at the same time. If that's an oxymoron, that's what it is. So what we got here is a little cheat sheet so I can go over some of these frequently asked questions on RAM specifically. Okay, and it does also work itself into the other V6s. So if you are watching this and you have a V6 in another vehicle, a Pentastar for example, some of these questions are going to be pretty much, overlapping. But our RAM guys, it's a new product. It's one of our newer supercharger kits, so they have a lot of questions specifically for their vehicle, and I'd like to take some time to just really cover them. Okay, so the first question I get from these guys is always the apprehension as to whether or not this engine can hold the power. Well, those of you who have been following RIPP for the last 27 years know that we've been doing this, very well. We've been supercharging Pentastar for 20 years. We were the first ones to do it back in 2012 in a Jeep Wrangler. We still own that vehicle. That is my personal vehicle. I have wheeled it all over the country, and I was lucky enough to be able to demonstrate that vehicle in so many beautiful places, and it's still running strong with the same engine and transmission it came with from the factory. So yes, the Pentastar is built very, very well. Now, what's great about the Pentastar engine is that it's almost built like 4-boost. Now, that engine is shared in other vehicles, so you know that it's in the entire line of rear-wheel drive cars, all-wheel drive cars, the SUVs, but it also has a sister vehicle in the Maserati as well, and we're pretty sure that the technology that they put into the twin-turbo Maserati went into this engine as well. It has extra squirters, the skirts are covered in Teflon, the rods are very thick. It's just a really good engine for what we do, and it takes the centrifugal very well. Now, the engine has a different design on the head compared to the twin-turbo vehicle. It has a monoport head, and a monoport head will create pressure in turbo situations. That's why Maserati went ahead and did a standard head there, but in this one it has a monoport head, so that goes out to the cat and then to the exhaust. With a centrifugal, since we're only building pressure on the cold side of the engine, not the exhaust side, we don't break it or lift heads, and we've been very successful in throwing 10, 11 pounds of boost through these engines, and clients have driven them multiple hundreds of thousands of miles. We have clients now who have eclipsed 250,000 miles with our kits on their vehicle and just called up and asked if there's anything they need to do to service. So that's a huge accolade for them, a huge accolade for us. So we're super proud of being able to do 250,000 miles on a modified engine under our watch. That's fantastic. So yes, the engine is very, very adaptable to our program. Now, our program, that pretty much leads into what componentry you're getting, right? So here you see some of the components, right? You have a centrifugal supercharger, and I'll cover that in a second. So that's made by Vortec right here in California. The centrifugal supercharger is good for 800 horsepower. Okay, so it's an oversized unit. We have our pulley system set up perfectly. So what's great about centrifugals is they're very predictable in boost. That makes our tuning very, very strong. So what happens here is that there's never going to be a situation like in a turbo where you have overboost or underboost, or there's an under the curve or an over the curb. You don't have to worry about the gate getting stuck, a wastegate which controls your boost. This is belt driven. So as you go up in RPM, that exponent of boost goes up, it adds it to the engine. The tuning is super simple. You're basically adjusting to mass air, pressure, and timing. So it's very easy for us to create a very strong calibration for you that works right into the factory torque management, transmission, shifting, and all that. So you get a very smooth drive out of the vehicle, which we demonstrated in our drive video, which I urge you to go see. Now, I said I was going to keep it brief, so the second biggest question we get is towing. I mean, when you have a full-size truck and you have a V6, the entire enthusiast market is going, why would you get a full-size and not be able to tow, or can you tow more? Or okay, so it is a full-size. It can tow. When you start loading up with power on a naturally aspirated engine, the V6 is working. After all, you're working with about 220 horsepower, right, and about 200 pounds of torque. We've demonstrated that over and over on our dyno. And when you start loading it up with the FAM and you start hauling some stuff in the bed, and then you got something on on the hitch in the back, it's working. So you guys are asking, can you tow more? Well, you can't tow more legally, right? You're not allowed to tow more weight than the vehicle is designed for and allotted for, because if you get caught doing that, you're going to get a fine, and your insurance, if you get into an accident, your insurance company is not going to cover you. So you should be towing more than the vehicle is capable of towing. But with the Supercharger, you can tow as much as you need to tow, a lot easier, and I personally have towed a lot with this vehicle. So I've towed boats, I've towed cars, I've towed friends' stuff, jet skis and motorcycle trailer, so I've done a lot of fun stuff. This vehicle has been with RIPP for multiple years. It's now done over 30,000 miles, approaching 35,000 miles, okay, of supercharged miles. That means not only can we keep it running well, we can keep it working as well. I mean, that's really what we're talking about, right? Not only is it doing daily duty, right, driving back and forth, getting 21, 22 miles to the gallon every day, it can also get 16 miles to the gallon while it's towing something heavy at 70 miles an hour, which no V8 can do. So, at some point you have to start seeing the value there between the two. And that's when the third heaviest question, right? The heaviest question is Hemi versus V6. Look, I've owned 5, 6, 7 Hemi vehicles, and I'm not taking anything away from that. It's beautiful. It sounds great. They do have power. They are torquier because they're larger engines. Can you compare? Can I? Yes, I've been in the perfect situation to be able to compare the two. I absolutely love my Jeeps with, an SRT format on it, 392 headers, a catback, naturally aspirated, and then I supercharge them and they sound awesome. Do they get 11 miles to the gallon on a daily basis? Yes, absolutely. So we're going to start talking about that for a second, right? This V6 has 440 horsepower, give or take, right, on the dyno sheet you saw before, at the rear wheel, which is 200 horsepower more than a 5.7 when you put one on the dyno. That is tremendous. But on a daily basis, a Hemi RAM will get about 16 miles to the gallon. So let's start talking about something there, right? You invested $6,000 into a supercharger kit or whatever they cost now, right? You took the time to put it in, you make sure it's running great. Daily, you're getting 22 miles to the gallon. The Hemi sounds great, but it's getting 16. I think you can keep your Hemi right at that point. I'm not a hater. I'm just saying that, we're making more power and we're getting better gas mileage and it could still tow. So that's a lot of boxes to check there. So they've been reliable for 250,000 miles. The transmissions are strong. The chassis are strong, right? There's nothing wrong with them there. And the superchargers have gone a very long time because we're not over pressurizing the engine. We're not worried about pressure in the engine. So that Hemi versus V6 or modded V6 argument can get a little old and long in the tooth. And I'd love to hear your opinion on that. You can put that in the comments, and then we are engaged in those conversations, so we'd love to hear what your opinion is on that. But we have our own opinion, but our opinion is from fact. Just remember that. We're not speaking hypothetically here, okay? I'm going to move on now to the next question. If we are talking about Hemi, we're always talking about that MPG, and clients are worried about what kind of MPG a supercharger will eat up in their V6. And that's the absolute opposite is what happens here, right? When you mod our V6 with our format, we're always finding a couple of more miles to the gallon, and I'll explain to you why. Centrifugals themselves are very, very, very light to turn, okay? They're not like other superchargers on the market. All right, when you start talking about positive displacement or roots or screw type superchargers, those can take 60 to 80 horsepower to spin. That's no lie. You can look that up. You know, you can ask the manufacturers. That's what it's robbing at the crank. This right here will take 14 to 40 tops, and that's at the 800, right? At the 800 horsepower mark, where you're spinning this thing as fast as it can go. So even if we assume that we're taking 40, it's half of any root style supercharger out there. So keep that in mind. The turbo is creating pressure on both sides, and that's the problem. And a root style supercharger is taking a lot of power from the engine. The centrifugal is the happy medium, okay? So these are very easy to own, very easy to tune, and easy to spin. So when we're spinning them very lightly like this, they're delivering air to the engine that normally the engine would have to suck in a downstroke. So even if you have 1 or 2 pounds of boost there, you're not costing yourself anything at the crank, and you're able to get better gas mileage on it. Now, I can't promise that you're gonna get better gas mileage, but you can see tons of reviews. If you just hang out on our website and just go to review after review, you'll see people, I can't believe it, I was skeptical, and they find that. So I urge you to go check that out and do your own research. Like I said, I can't promise because I don't know how you drive, but the way I drive, I can find it. Okay, service, that's a big one. Everybody always asks, do I have to get special parts? What's the service like? You know, can I do my own service? And the answer to all that is absolutely. RIPP is really, really light on the way we are added to the engine. So if we would, for example, take that turbo and root style supercharger, the root style supercharger or screw type is completely top end of the engine. It covers a whole bunch of stuff, and every time you need to do service, you need to take that whole supercharger off, which weighs about 200 or 300 pounds. A lot of people have to use an engine jack to get it out of the car, especially in a Ram, because it's tremendously hard to work on it. It's up high. Ours fits in the front of the engine, so it's very, very light. So you can get to all your serviceable items just as you would before, mechanically. There's really nothing different that you would be doing. Your belts are routed the same way, except you have a supercharger in there. Your intercooling system is all in the front, so there's nothing you'd have to ever remove for service there at all, right? Your spark plugs can all be done exactly the same way. You take your intake manifold off, you take your 40 minutes, you put that all back together, and you got fresh spark plugs in the car. I don't think you should be doing anything else, like your oil, you know, is the same, everything is the same there. But there is one extra thing that you would be doing, okay? And that is, this is self-contained. And that question comes up a lot. What is self-contained? That means, unlike a turbo, you do not have to use the oiling system from the car to cross-contaminate into the system. So a turbo runs on the engine's oil, so that means it gets heated up and burnt up faster. This is self-contained. It has 4 ounces of Vortec oil in it. You change that every 7,000 miles. That's basically what I do in this. So I change my engine oil every 3,500. That's what I have done. And my supercharger's oil every 7,000. You'll ask why I do that routine. Well, because I like to change my oil early. So that's the kind of guy I am. Okay, and that keeps all my numbers nice and round and easy. Every 2 oil changes, 1 on the supercharger. Super cheap to buy the oil. It's super available from us, Summit, any of the really big, you know, box stores. Well, not the box stores, but you know, some of the bigger auto parts stores. Or you can just order it right from Vortec, so it's always ready, available, no problem there. Other than that, you know, your belt is a belt. We just provide you a Gates belt, and nothing else really needs to be serviced. So service is actually very, very easy and not a big deal. Huge one is, what kind of other mods do I have to add? This one's number 6 here. What kind of other mods do you have to add? Really, nothing. I mean, we design our systems to run on the factory stock engine. We don't drill a hole in the vehicle or, you know, start modifying things, bigger water pumps or fuel pumps or, you know, different fuel rail. We are designed to run with the factory components, and the components we provide you need to be changed. So, but we do have supporting mods. Do you need these mods? No, but I have them in this vehicle, or we have them in this vehicle rather. I'm used to it being mine, and it's not mine anymore. I'm kind of sad. So I have the RIPP oil catch can, and we have a whole segment on that. That's filtered, and that helps keep a lot of the crankcase junk from going back into the engine, so it's a smart mod. For over 30,000 miles now, we've had the RIPP ignition coils in here, which are 20% more powerful, and so you get a cleaner burn and spark at the spark plug, so that helps under boosted conditions and naturally aspirated. And on this vehicle, proved to be very powerful in mid-range, and there's some videos about that as well. And again, you know, you can go check those out. And in this one, we've got a prototype catback 3-inch exhaust system that has not made it to production yet. I think we've got it dialed in. I couldn't tell you if we were going to be able to make it this year or not, but we've got a catback in this. So there's a lot of catbacks out there. You guys are already handling your own exhaust systems. If we come out with ours, we'll prove what it does, and it'll just be part of the program. But right now, with the market being so odd, we're just going to take a step back. Those mods are supporting mods. But the mods you guys are asking about are, do I need to change my pistons? Am I going to crack my rods? Do I got to put head studs in? Do I need a metal head gasket? No, absolutely not. I'm gonna like right off the bat, do not need those for at any power level that we're at right now. Even the 440, you saw this one crack, super reliable just the way it is. If you're looking at engine mods that are that heavy, you're looking for heavy horsepower, you're just going to have to call the office and consult with our sales guys or our tech guys, and they can tell you which way you're going, and we can help you. But for a day-to-day basis, this vehicle for the last 2-3 years is running around just with the components you would get, same exact tune and everything. One thing that we do take seriously is every vehicle is treated as its own, right? So you're seeing an intercooler here, right? An air filter, and I didn't talk about these things. This is the coil that's in this vehicle. It's really just there for some color, some show. But realistically, this intercooler needs to be covered. So this is the intercooler that makes 440 horsepower in all of our cars. So if you're a V6 proponent in the Dodge, Challenger, Charger, 300C, you see guys cracking anywhere from 400 to 500 horsepower. That's the intercooler they have in there. Now, it is exposed in the grill, but the Ram's grill is tremendous, right? And you guys can tow up to 10,000 pounds in this. That means you're going to be creating a lot of heat in the engine at mid RPM for a sustained period of time. So we didn't put this intercooler in there because you start to run out of the ability to cool something that's doing heavy duty work like that, right? That's what we want to talk about. I don't want you guys in the cars to misinterpret that, this is not good for you. It's fine. It works just the way it's supposed to. We're just talking about guys who are towing a 10,000 pound trailer, their family, the dog, and everything for, a weekend in the woods, right? Or a race car guy who's going down, to Tennessee to do some dirt track racing. That really does matter. You are towing for a sustained period of time, and you're in boost for a long period of time, unlike the car guys, right? You make a couple of passes, you cool the car down, make another pass, cool the car down. So this is the intercooler, okay, that goes in the truck. Yeah, you could see it's tremendous. It's 44% larger than the factory or the original designed intercooler in the cars. So therefore you have more cooling. You got a different shape to bring the boost through the intercooler faster. This V design creates a different type of volume through it, and obviously we're maximizing the grill as well, so it looks pretty badass. Let's face it, right? You want a big honking intercooler. Now the Rebel doesn't show it that good because it's got that weird grill, but the ones that have like the more T cross type Mopar grill, you could see it really there. It's really in your face. So we do take every vehicle quite seriously for the way they're going to be used. Now, this kit, the Ram kit, does share the air filter, which is more than enough volume, like our cars do. So this can deliver, enough air to be able to handle that. It does have the same injector and the same, map sensor, but on the cooling side and in the air filtration side, it has a bigger pipe, and so more air in and more air out of the intercooler to keep it working. The last thing, and this is going to wrap it up, is all the 5th gen guys. Wow, you guys are heavy all over our videos, man, and we appreciate it because I know we're doing RAM Supercharger, and so you have the e-torque situation there, right? All of the 5th gen RAM guys have that electric motor in the front. That's what e-torque is. If you 4th gen guys don't know what that is, check it out. Just look up e-torque RAM. So they got a Pentastar with this big, really big electric motor with a belt that drives the crank, and it's like a 40 horsepower mod, from the factory. And right now that sits right where we would put our supercharger. As we round out our program and as we, support more cars and they're changing the Pentastar design, we are going to take a look at that e-torque to see whether or not we can get something in there. But at the moment, with that e-torque in the way and tuning being a little weird, we're not tackling that one. Next coming up is, if you guys waited till the end here, is the 2016 to 2021 WK2, which is a Jeep Grand Cherokee Pentastar. That's the next kit, so stay tuned for that. And I guess I'm at the end now, so I need to thank you guys for listening to me ramble. I appreciate you guys listening. It is a big deal. You know, you can always check us out anywhere on Instagram and Facebook or the interwebs, www.ripmods.com. Give us a call because we pick up the phone. So, you know, we still do that in 2022, and we hope to be doing that for a while. Thank you again, and thanks for stopping by.